All right, welcome everyone. I'm excited to do this talk with you today, all about mold and your health and what you need to know. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Sophie Alexander of the Nutritional Wellness Center in Ithaca, New York. I'm the owner and the lead practitioner. And mold is an important topic to me because it's particularly been something that's I've been personally working on for the past couple of years, not realizing how much of it was a part of my health story. And for those of you who don't know me or don't know my story very well, in 2005, I got Lyme disease, and I was 22 at the time and didn't really catch any of the early signs. And so it was 6 months later when I was dealing with all sorts of chronic strange joint issues like swelling in my wrists and in my knees and fatigue, that I was like, okay, something is wrong. And it was through, I did several rounds of antibiotics. I did a lot of homeopathy and some herbal therapy. But it wasn't until I became a client of the Nutritional Wellness Center in 2009 and really started on my own personalized health plan that not only did I see some of the chronic health issues that I had been dealing with, such as digestive issues and hormone imbalances, really start to quiet down. But then these symptoms that I associated with Lyme also over time just went away. And I really considered myself, I didn't know whether I was in remission or whether I'd fully handled it, but I was just living feeling really well, right? And really empowered and impassioned about this work. And so much so that I became the nutrition response testing practitioner, became a practitioner at the Nutritional Wellness Center, and then bought the practice in 2018. But 2 years ago, I had my third child and lost a lot of blood giving birth. And in that weakened state, I really started to struggle with my health again, and was quite shocked and really upset about it. In that, of course, the fatigue from blood loss, but that got better over time. But what came back was all these symptoms that I associated with Lyme. So the aching and burning in my hands, and the joint pain in my wrists and in my knees. And the knee pain was bad enough, it was like hard to crouch down on the ground and be with my kids. And so of course I'm getting nutrition response testing all the time. And of course, immune things are showing back up and we're supporting the immune system. But then it was really interesting, just as we ongoing as practitioners are always learning, and always the body heals and repairs in layers. And these layers, even 12 years later down the line, these layers are continuing to show up with me. To the surface finally was mold. And I was really interested to then to think back and remember, times in my life, even pre-Lyme disease, when I had lived in moldy places or struggled with allergies. And it just started to put the pieces together of how mold toxicity had really been an underlying piece that was perpetuating the Lyme, because they mimic each other, and it can be very confusing as to what is causing what. So as I go through these types of things that I'm going to talk about in terms of mold and how to handle it, these are all things that I've been doing on myself. And I'm so happy to say that, I don't have the knee pain anymore, and I'm feeling so much better. And so if this, speaks to you or to anyone that really encourage you to share them with my story and share them with them this presentation, because it can make a huge difference in their health. So if you suspect you have mold toxicity, some of the symptoms that I'm going to talk about today speak to you, or you've been told you have mold toxicity, or you have an image like this in your home, or somewhere that you work, or you have in the past. I'm going to talk about what comes next. What do you do? So first of all, what is mold? Mold is a fungus found both outdoors and indoors. You may develop mold-related illnesses when certain types grow inside your home or in your workplace. But unfortunately, the symptoms of mold-induced toxicity are often vague, right? Like I was talking about with my story, fatigue, gut issues, memory problems, muscle aches. I'll add in there joint issues. And so it can be attributed to so many other causes very easily. And also mold is, as they say, this silent thing. So you don't know always when you've been exposed. But mold growths or colonies can start to grow on damp surface within 24 to 48 hours, and they reproduce by tiny, lightweight seed spores that travel through the air. Molds digest organic material, eventually destroying the material they grow on, and then they spread to destroy adjacent organic material. So what triggers it? Mold will grow in places with moisture, right? Around leaks in roofs, windows, pipes, when there's been flooding. It really loves paper, cardboard, ceiling tiles, wood products. It can grow in dust, in paints, wallpaper, insulation, drywall, carpet, fabric, and upholstery. And so there are many different types of mold that our bodies struggle with. I won't list them all right now, just to focus on the air side of not getting too scientific, right? And because I might just butcher all of these names, but the information is here for you if you want some more specifics. The thing that's really the most tricky about mold and makes it such a fear factor when it comes to health, or when you have a concern about whether it might be impacting your health, is not the fact that it just exists, right? But it's the toxins that it produces. And then of course, and I'll speak more to this, our own body's resiliency and our own body's ability to handle it. So the main types of toxins are these mycotoxins, and then the microbial volatile organic compounds that are released. Mycotoxins are poisonous chemicals. I call them toxic gas bombs that mold produces to help defend its territory from other microbes. They can be really harmful even in low concentrations. And the folks who say that mycotoxins are more harmful than pesticides. And I've really seen that too with practice. I see it can be something that hides the most with someone's health, like the body is trying to squirrel it away and protect you from it. And because we do so much work with in our practice of nutrition response testing on pesticides and things like that, but the cases that are the slowest to respond or the trickiest to figure out, usually there's this aha moment when the mold comes up and you really realize how much the system's been poisoned by mycotoxins. So these are some of the more common mycotoxins and how they impact our health. Aflatoxins, which really stress the liver. And that's a big theme I see, is just how unhappy the liver is and how congested, how much sluggish bile flow, how that connects to joint health, how that connects to hormone health and digestive health. Ochratoxin A has a big impact on the immune system, suppressing the immune system. And a lot of this is due to the oxidative stress, also known as free radical damage, that it triggers in the body. But this is a one that also has a bigger impact on nerves and brain function. And then there's certain ones that are produced by black mold as well as other molds, and they interfere with your cell's ability to make protein, which it needs. They can also damage nerves, impair immunity, and trigger oxidative stress. Mycotoxins also harm your kidneys, lungs, and your mitochondria. Your mitochondria are what are referred to as the powerhouse of your cells, right? And they are what help your cells to produce ATP, which is what our bodies use for energy. The microbial volatile organic compounds usually are, being a type of VOC, it's something that you smell, right? So if you remember the musty odor you can associate with mold, the MVOCs cause those, whereas mycotoxins are generally odorless, right? And not only do MVOCs smell terrible, but they also are toxic. So part of their toxicity stems from the production of damaging free radicals. Black mold, a lot of people have heard more about this, right? It's a certain type of fungus that feeds on decaying organic matter. And it can grow on many surfaces, but especially found on places and really is fond of places that are wet and contain cellulose. So cellulose is found in building materials, bookbinding glue, cardboard, ceiling tiles, fabric, paper, plastic wrap, wallboard, and wood. And so a lot of people are like, oh yeah, allergic to mold, I sneeze, I cough when I'm around it. But there are so many other symptoms associated with mold exposure as well. And they include, but aren't limited to, coughing, postnasal drip, sneezing, dry, scaly skin, itchy eyes, nose, or throat, nasal congestion, cognitive impairment, depression, sleep disturbance, balance difficulties, brain fog, circulation issues, swelling, digestive complaints, fatigue, vision changes, anxiety, muscular pain, joint pain, dizziness, neurological complaints, appetite swings, weight gain, or weight loss resistance. And I would say that in a lot of my clients, what I see is, chronic congestion, congestion just doesn't budge, depression, anxiety, joint pain. Often the mold is really hiding as a root cause of that. Yeah, and I think a lot of people can really identify with this list, and or know someone who who they might be worried about. It's really, if you are on a health improvement program, or you're working to improve your health, improving your diet, taking good quality supplements, taking care of yourself, and things just aren't adding up, you're not getting better, you're not losing weight, that can be a big indicator too. Yeah, mold can be an underlying cause of it all. So how to address mold toxicity? Well, of course, if you are, well, I'll speak more to this, but if you're in it, addressing it, right? Trying to either get out of it, not live in it anymore, or clean up the space. But in terms of your body, binding the mold toxins is a very important step. Binders can help tightly bind the toxins and remove them from your body through your bowel movements. And this works nicely to do it without stressing your cells. Remember, mold and mycotoxins can affect all your organ systems, not just your intestines. But one of the biggest things to do, and I find we need to do first, even before we can get into the binding, is supporting the drainage pathways of the body. And so the drainage pathways, I think of as the intestines, the bowels, how regularly are you having bowel movements, and your kidneys. And I find that folks dealing with mold toxicity often have really impaired drainage. They might not be sweating. They're constant. And so compromises of the mold toxicity. But we have key support that we do to help prep the body and make it be easier to bind up the mold and move it out. So you want to make sure your bowels are moving 2 or 3 times a day when you are detoxing. And when you support these drainage pathways, it prevents the mold toxins from getting backed up and reabsorbed into your body, which is a big part of you just feeling terrible if you're trying to clear it out, if you don't have these pathways supported. So supporting the liver is a really big deal. Your liver processes toxins from your blood and deposits them into the bile. You excrete some of this toxin-laden bile via your stools, right? So again, the importance of regular bowel movements. But having a happy liver, which you do through making sure you're just eating healthy, good quality fats, means avoiding canola and safflower and sunflower and any trans fats, any of those oils. You want to avoid those oils because they are so stressful to the liver, and make sure you're having what we call the good fats, avocado oil and the coconut oil and the butter and the olive oil. And we just find so much with our work that we need to do a lot of liver support to help everything clear out of the body. Glutathione is a big part of this. It's a powerful antioxidant our bodies make which also supports our liver, but mold toxicity depletes glutathione and it leaves our liver cells vulnerable to damage. So you can supplement with glutathione. Another thing you can do is coffee enemas, which really helps support glutathione production in the body. Doing nasal passage rinses can be really beneficial for those affected by mold and mycotoxins, especially if you have any upper respiratory symptoms, because this helps clear the mycotoxins from the nasal passage, which is one of the first places that they land in the body, right? You breathe them in. And I was already starting to talk about this, but diet can never underemphasize diet. Prioritizing dark colored organic fruits and vegetables to support antioxidant and nutrient intake, plenty of apples, cruciferous vegetables, which are very supportive of the liver, and food sources of lycopene, particularly tomatoes. Avoiding high sugar processed moldy foods such as peanuts, blue cheese, and fermented foods is a biggie. There's a few more lists, like especially people dealing with kind of first stage, what not to eat, right? Really any sugars, sweets, we just say avoid. Dried fruits because they're so sweet. Leavened bread and yeast, and because of the yeast component. We really move people away from simple carbohydrates because of the sugar content. So baked goodies, of course, because of the double sugar content, the white flour usually, and the added sugar. Mushrooms being a fungus, corn, potatoes, pickles and pickled foods, vinegar, soy sauce, cantaloupe, grapes, aged cheeses, moldy cheeses, peanuts, and peanut butter. And a lot of these foods are either avoided due to their carbohydrate content and feeding mold, and also the yeasts that really accompany mold or tend to take over the body in accompaniment with mold, or because of their own mold content or potential mold content. If we have to get more strict, right, like in terms of really severe individuals struggling to clear the mold out, then we have people restrict all fruit, even starchy vegetables, all grains, fermented foods, shelled nuts, condiments with vinegar and sugars, and sour cream or other soured milk products. I found I've had to be at this level with my diet because these things are what make me feel unwell. Like I eat fruit, and even like something like blueberries. When things are really flared up with me, I would eat blueberries and my knees would hurt. I'd eat any kind of grain, either a healthier grain option like quinoa, and would feel unwell and deal with more joint pain. I'm happy to say I've been able to get some of these things back, but I definitely at a height of it was couldn't understand why I was having such poor fruit tolerance until I started to learn this information about mold. So what to eat to help protect your body, right? I've mentioned a few bits of these things here and there, but I just want to reiterate it because it's so important. So these colorful vegetables, and eating way more veggies than fruit, but some great ones are beets and artichoke, asparagus and radishes because they help the liver so much. Broccoli and Brussels sprouts because they help the detoxification processes. The tomatoes for the lycopenes that neutralize mycotoxins. Cabbage, I'd say cabbage is a big one because it's a cruciferous veggie that helps support the liver, but also helps support the intestines. Celery and cucumber because it helps kidneys with water balance and clearing things from the body, that drainage pathway. Bitter greens such as arugulas, broccoli rabe, endive, watercress, kale, dandelion greens all help support the body clearing out mycotoxins. Colorful fruits because of the antioxidants. Beef liver, such a nutrient powerhouse, especially in terms of B vitamins. All the essential good quality fats, avocado, olives, olive oil, fresh seeds and nuts, eggs and fish. Coconut's a big favorite of mine too, add to that list. Yogurt is a great one as long as it is actually a good quality yogurt, no added sugar, ideally local, ideally grass-fed milk, made from grass-fed milk. And small batch made, like Ashley still has and probiotics in it. I'm a huge fan of butter for healing the intestinal lining and another source of those good fats, and healing spices of curry because of the turmeric in it and parsley. Green tea is another great thing to consume if you're dealing with mycotoxins. It found that it reduces the toxicity of mycotoxins. It also has antiviral and antibacterial components. And then now we get a little bit more into, well, and something that I think is so fundamental, which is your workspace, your living space. You can always professionally get your home and your work assessed to see if there is mold and there's mold damage. But some little steps that you can do before that is really focusing on your indoor air quality. You can use industrial strength HEPA filters in fans or other filtered air devices that can remove and isolate mold spores, prevent them from re-entering the circulated air in your building, home, office, right? Because a lot of air purifiers do not remove all these microscopic particles. And so you really have to make sure that it is a true HEPA filter. But this was, a client just the other day, I see her once a month. Last month, we really were like, okay, there's some things that aren't adding up. She has allergies, she struggles with her mood, she struggles with losing weight. And she really wasn't feeling well. We did some deeper digging and the mold came up. And of course, she's dealt with water damage in her home. She's dealt with water damage in her basement. She's had some mold remediation done, but knew that she needed to revisit that as well. But I was like, okay, well, just in the meantime, like, are you using an air filter right now? You really should. And so over the past month, she started using the air filter and she was just so much brighter, the next visit. I think we probably also had added in a certain binder or some kind of way to be supporting her body. But she was like, I immediately felt a difference. And that was really exciting because it's so hard for your body to get on top of this type of situation if you are still living in it. And so that's why with nutrition response testing, I really find that it's so important. And I can't imagine going through my health story and journey without it. Is the tool of nutrition response testing. And I said to a colleague just the other day, like, oh, where would I be, right now if I didn't have the nutrition response testing, if I didn't have this as a tool to figure out, I feel like I'd be diagnosed with autoimmune things, or I'd be on, definitely be on medications that I'm not excited about, dealing with immune system issues. So nutrition response testing is a non-invasive system to assist a practitioner's assessment of the underlying causes of ill health. So we use these neurological reflexes to really explore the body and understand what is getting in the way of it healing and repairing itself and being as healthy as is possible. So you can see in the picture, I use the arm to get feedback from the nervous system. I put all sorts of test kits on the body. I'm asking the body all sorts of questions. And it really does reveal information in layers and over time. But we always start with what's the biggest priority, what's the biggest fire the body's trying to put out. And then we support that through dietary changes and targeted whole food supplementation to remove those barriers and get the body back into a state of health. At our office, we also use the ion cleanse detox foot bath, and I think this is an amazing tool to assist our clients, especially the ones who've been showing up for mold. There have been some really interesting studies of practices where they do mycotoxin blood tests, and they take a before, and then they do a series of foot baths, and they take an after, and they have documented results of reducing mycotoxin load just through the foot baths alone. And so it's a lovely relaxing process. It's a way to take a little time and just be. It's a half an hour session, but a key thing really is the regularity of doing it. I've had clients do them here or there, and it does still help, but it's really when it's done multiple times in a week, ideally 2 to 3, and then it's done for several weeks in a row, that we see the most acceleration and the support, especially folks who are also for support and doing everything else as well. Um, oh, and we happen for this month to be having a sale on the foot bath. So if you're interested in that, you buy a group of 7, you get 1 free. You buy a group of 14, you get 2 sessions free. Please don't hesitate to contact the office and we'll give you more of that information. And you can be a nutrition response testing client or not and take advantage of this tool. And another tool we offer at the office is PEMF therapy. And this is a mat that you lie on that supports the body with beneficial pulsed electromagnetic field therapy. So a lot of people have heard of EMFs in terms of the harmful ones, right? Coming from cell phone towers and from your cell phone and from your computer. But at a lower frequency, there are very therapeutic ones. And they have been shown to decrease pain, increase microcirculation, reduce stress in the body, improve sleep patterns, help soft tissue heal faster, reduce inflammation and swelling, accelerate nerve degeneration. We have a client who loved it so much she ended up buying her own mat through us because her neuropathy improved so much. And so it's a tool that we very much utilize for mitochondrial health, mitochondrial stimulation, especially if a body's just really struggling to clean these mycotoxins out and get on top of it, and they're dealing with acute symptoms such as pain or depression. It can be a wonderful adjunct to accelerate the process. So I encourage you to start your journey today. Give us a call. We can set up an initial assessment, see if what we do is the right fit for you, and we can be of service to you or to your loved ones. Our phone number you can call or text, and you've got all the information right there. I very much hope that you found this presentation helpful and to give you hope about how, if any of this speaks to you, or you're suspicious of this for yourself, or you've been told that you're dealing with mold, of what you can do about it.